Good afternoon, Texans. Today is September 30th, 2013, and you are watching the Texan Sports Minute with this sports fanatic, Trevor Pill. This weekend was full of action, and I have some of the biggest headliners talked about around the leagues, including number 25 Texans win in double overtime, Texan volleyball, Rangers play game 163, and Cowboys crumble. The Texan football team traveled to Frisco this weekend to take on who used to be their biggest rival in the Lone Star Conference, the Abilene Christian Wildcats. The Texans lost the lead in the fourth quarter but fought hard to win in double overtime 41-34. ACU had a 5-game winning streak against the Texans coming into the game. The Wildcats, who are now a subdivision championship football Division I school, are the first D1 school the Texans have defeated dating back to October 2007 against Stephen F. Austin. The Texans were the first to score in the game. Bubba Tandy caught the first touchdown of the game and second for him of the season. During the Wildcats' next possession, defensive back Desmond Jackson of the Texans intercepted John David Baker for a pick six. It was the first interception Baker had thrown for ACU. The Wildcats finally got on the board with a field goal, and then following a Jerome Regal fumble, ACU scored their first touchdown, bringing the score to 14-10. Regal bounced right back, scoring a touchdown from 4 yards out, giving the Texans an 11-point lead at the break. The second half was full of excitement and back-and-forth scoring. The Wildcats would score first in the third quarter, but Jake Fenske would fight back and throw a 5-yard touchdown pass to Jenkin Fry, making the score 28-17 ACU. ACU would then score 14 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, giving them the first lead of the game 31-28. After a couple possessions by both teams ending in punts, the Texans got the ball with a minute and 41 seconds remaining in the game, starting on their own 27-yard line. After a couple completed passes and two crucial defensive offsides, the Texans were on the Wildcats' 12-yard line and kicked a field goal to tie the game 31-31. The following kickoff would run the clock out, sending the game to overtime. Now, if you're not familiar with overtime rules, the ball starts on the 25-yard line. Each team has one timeout. If you score first, the other team gets a chance to score as well. So if you kick a field goal, the other team needs a field goal to tie or a touchdown to win. ACU would start off with the ball first. With their first pass attempt, a pass interference flag was thrown in the end zone, but the Texan defense stood strong and held them to a field goal. Colin Strahan, who's seen his first collegiate action this year, led the Texans in overtime drive. After a couple plays, the Texans would send it to double overtime with the field goal 34-34. The Texans had the ball first this time. After moving the ball some, the Texans converted a big 4th and 1. Texans soon found themselves with a long 3rd and 9, but a handoff to Regal, who would run it in for the touchdown, pushes the lead to 41-34. ACU still had a chance to match it, but after a huge sack by Jake Blount of the Texans, it was a 2nd and 25. Wildcats would complete an 11-yard pass, but missed the next. It was a 4th and 9 play. ACU completed a short pass. It looked as if the ACU player was down, but he had pitched the ball. Texan players didn't see that and ran onto the field as if they won. After realizing it wasn't over, the Wildcats player threw a forward pass. Penalties offsets, and the Wildcats would get another chance. Baker would be forced out of the pocket and throw the ball out of the back of the end zone, giving Texans the victory. Regal would finish the game rushing for 251 yards. He is the 10th player in Tarleton history to run for over 200 yards in a game, and his is the third best behind a pair of 260-yard games by Derrick Ross. Also, today, Regal was announced as the LSC Player of the Week. Fenske would complete 16 of his 32 passes for 159 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Aaron Doyle did not play this game due to an knee injury, but should be back next week. Leonard Myers led the team in receiving with 82 yards on 8 catches, with Tandy having 40 yards. Regal also had a couple catches for 33 yards, giving him 284 all-purpose yards. The Texans would finish with a total of 484 yards in offense, 290 yards on the ground, and 194 through the air. The Wildcats had 361 yards of total offense, 131 yards rushing, and 230 passing. The Texans improved their 6-game winning streak back to last season. This is the first time under Coach Kerry Fowler that the Texans have started the season off 3-0. They look to take their unblemished record back on the road for more Lone Star Conference play. The Texans travel to eastern New Mexico next Saturday, October 5th, for their second road game of the season. Kickoff is set at 3 p.m. against the Greyhounds. Texan volleyball improved their LSC record, defeating Texas A&M Kingsville on Friday. The 4-set victory was led by Jasmine Green, who had 15 kills. Texans fell behind as many as 7 points in the first set, but after that they would go on a 27 run, not allowing the Javelins to get consecutive points. After leading 21-17 in the second set, the Javelins went on an 8-2 run to win that set. Texans would then win the next 2 sets to stay undefeated in conference play. The ladies had a game scheduled over the weekend against Our Lady of the Lake, but was canceled due to schedule conflict. The Texans will host West Texas A&M this Friday at 6 p.m. They are currently 3-0 in conference play. After the heart-wrenching loss to the Kansas City Royals in extra innings on a grand slam, the Texas Rangers looked done for. Who would have guessed that they would win in the final 7 games to extend their season 1 more game? The Rangers will host the Tampa Bay Rays tonight at 7:07 p.m. for Game 163 of the regular season, a tiebreaker that decides what team will get the second and final AL wildcard spot. The Rangers fell behind early to the Angels on Sunday, but would find their groove scoring in innings 5 through 8 to win the game 6-2. For those who don't remember, the Rangers came into September leading the AL West, but went on a 5-15 skid. It is the first wildcard breaker since 2007. The winner would then play 2 days later against Cleveland for a berth against Boston in the division series. Craig Gentry of the Rangers said, "You can't say enough. Just the fight, the character of this team, from behind about as low as we could possibly be, and almost everybody probably counting us out. And to come home and play the way we have." Martin Perez, left-hander, will be on the mound for the Rangers tonight. Also, after serving his 50-game suspension for supposedly using banned performance-enhancing drugs, Nelson Cruz will make his return. "I'll have a chance tomorrow to be with my teammates and do the thing I love the most, play baseball," said Cruz. The Rangers lost last year in a one-and-done wildcard game at home against Baltimore. They have made it to the playoffs the past 3 seasons. Tonight they have a chance to make it to the postseason for the 4th straight season. It has become a trend to see coaches fired in the middle of the season. That is the story for USC coach Lane Kiffin, according to ESPN, who was fired just 6 hours after their loss to Arizona State 62-41. As their plane landed in LAX, a private terminal, athletic director Pat Hayden met with Kiffin for 45 minutes, firing him at the airport. According to the Los Angeles Daily News, Hayden met with advisors Saturday during a 28-0 Arizona State run in the 3rd quarter, and that's when it was decided to dismiss Kiffin. Right now, Ed Oregon was picked as the interim head coach. He was Kiffin's assistant head coach. Denver Broncos defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio is emerging as someone to take over Kiffin's spot permanently. Del Rio said after the Broncos game Sunday, "There isn't anything to say. It's all speculation at this point. I've got a job to do here. My focus is right there." Kiffin's record at USC was 28-15. It doesn't help that the offense was last in the Pac-12 in passing per game, yards per game, and 3rd down conversions. If heartbreak consistency is what you are looking for, that's exactly what you get as a Dallas Cowboys fan. The Cowboys were up by 11 points, 21-10. Phillip Rivers, quarterback for the Chargers, completed 35 of his 42 passes for 401 yards and 3 touchdowns. His final touchdown to Antonio Gates for his 200th of his career. Chargers have blown their lead in their only 2 losses, but that wouldn't be the case. The Cowboys only ran 7 plays in the 3rd quarter. The last touchdown the Cowboys scored was a 52-yard interception return by Sean Lee on a tip pass from Rivers late in the 2nd quarter. Tony Romo had a 5 and a 34-yard touchdown pass to Des Bryant. The Cowboys are now 2-2 overall. This next week they will have another tough test as the undefeated Broncos come to town. Speaking of undefeated teams, there are 6 NFL teams that still boast a 100% winning record. Those are the New England Patriots, Seattle Seahawks, Kansas City Chiefs, Denver Broncos, and tonight's Monday night matchup, the Miami Dolphins against the New Orleans Saints. Is it too early to start comparing to Don Shula's undefeated Dolphins from 1972, which stand as the only undefeated champions? The Broncos have won 15 consecutive regular season games by at least a touchdown, which puts Peyton Manning and Eli Manning in 2 different worlds, as the Giants are still struggling with a winless record and possibly the worst team in the NFL. The only good thing for the Giants is that there are still 3 other teams with winless records: Jacksonville Jaguars, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Some undefeated teams and also some winless teams still have to play each other, so we will see who can knock off who and who can get at least one win under their belt. That's all the sports I have for you. Thank you for joining me today on the Texan Sports Minute, where it is always about sports and all you need to know. This has been a product of the Texan News Service. You can read up on your sports or news at texannews.net or follow me on Twitter at Texan News Sports. Special thanks to Alyssa Wynn for producing today. Have a wonderful day, Texans, and don't forget to bleed purple.